Welcome.
Welcome to the Everythink podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at the Big Finish news released between the 11th and 15th of September 2024. So we're going to start off on the 11th of September 2024, which was the day that Bernie Summerfield of the Eternity Club 1 was released. Here's the trailer.
From Big Finish Productions, Bernice Summerfield, The Eternity Club, The Armageddon Chair.
The Eternity Club. A club for the universe's greatest explorers. Oh, of course. Weren't you Professor Bernice Summerfield? Yes. Of course you were.
She is angry at the night, angry at the dark, angry at being alone. Santana never screams.
Be a brave little soldier.
I am a brave little soldier.
Professor, a word.
Oh, Secretary Pym, what now?
The members have complained about your appearance.
I fix their plumbing, I reboot their butlers, I keep their atmospheres intact. Isn't that enough?
Have you considered trying to fit in? Making yourself more popular?
They're still here, and they're still hungry. There are rumors that all is not well in the Eternity Club. A fine institution going to ruin? Why, they even let a human in? That would be me. Exactly. Do you have a name? You seem familiar.
A name? Maybe it will come back to me. One day. And on that day, the death will return.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Bernie Summerfield, The Eternity Club 1, and let's now have a look at the press release. The press release is titled Bernie Summerfield enters the Eternity Club today. Lisa Bowerman stars as a 26th century archaeologist in the first installment of a new audio drama series. The Eternity Club 1 is now available from Big Finish Productions. Here's the synopsis. Welcome to the Eternity Club, where a warm welcome awaits the universe's greatest explorers, a place of mystery, intrigue and creeping danger. Professor Bernie Summerfield has finally been invited to join, but membership comes at a terrible price. The new adventures of Bernie Summerfield, The Eternity Club is a series of 4 full-cast audio drama releases, each comprising 2 half-hour episodes. In the first 2 stories released today, Benny settles into her new surroundings before venturing out on an even archaeological mission led by a Draphine Queen. Sorry, I got the wrong alien species there. The Eternity Club stars Lisa Bowerman as Professor Bernie Summerfield, a role she played for Big Finish Productions since 1998. Nicholas Grace, known for Brideshead Revisited, plays the officious security pimp, and Neev Kuzuk, who made of the tower, plays the secretive oldest. Actor Lisa Bowerman said the Eternity Club is a mirror of those old gentlemen clubs in London. In this case, it is actually the universe's most exclusive club for explorers. Benny finds herself with all its hierarchies and its traditions, and she's still the outsider. So across the series, she tries to solve a problem for each single one of the club members who she thinks hates her to get through to them. They cover the gambit of personalities, all played by a fantastic guest cast. The cast also includes Dan Starkey as Starlord Centauran, Simon Kane as 312, a miserable robot, Nyonga Anguiatu as Grisgella, Draphine Queen, Shai Matheson as Professor Altazar, a Draconian, that's why, of race. Victoria Gee as the suspension of Grant, a gossipy gas. Derek Elroy as Derek a Tree. Diane Pilkington as the nurse, and David O'Mahony as the butlers. The 2 half-hour episodes on this release are The Armageddon Chair, written by James Goss, and Triumph of the Draffin by James Goss. Let's start with The Armageddon Chair. Here's a synopsis. Bernice Summerfield is still settling in at the Eternity Club. Security Pym sends her on a quest enlisting help from Draconian Sontarans, Dravins, and the club's enigmatic oldest member. The synopsis for Triumph of the Dravin. A archaeological expedition led by a Driffin queen. What secrets has she uncovered in the forgotten deserts of the Parent, and why are people dying? The following 3 Bernie Summerfield The Eternity Club titles will be released monthly, obviously in October, November and December 2024. That is the press release for Bernie Summerfield The Eternity Club 1. Next up is the vortex for it, so let's see what it's got to say. Over the past few years, Professor Bernie Summerfield has been careering through time and space with a doctor from the Unbound universe at her side. Lisa Bowerman and David Warner starred in 5 box sets of adventures, which sadly came to an end with the passing of David, Lisa's partner in real life. However, the original time-travelling archaeologist is back in a new series as Benny joins a society of intergalactic adventurers in the Eternity Club, due to be released in 4 monthly instalments. Big Finish executive producer Jason Hay-Gallery tells Vortex the story of Benny Summerfield continues, though there's one very important person missing. David has become an integral and much-loved part of the range and was a great friend to us all at Big Finish, and we were terribly upset by his passing in July 2022. After discussing the future of the series with Lisa, we decided that new adventures of Bernie Summerfield should carry on, and James Goss and Tim Foley have done a brilliant job of creating an exciting new world for Benny to explore. Producer and co-writer James says, "We're still really feeling the loss of David's Unbound Doctor. We wanted the fans and Benny herself to have a nice sit down and a chance to reflect on what else is in the universe. Welcome to the Eternity Club, where a warm welcome awaits the universe's greatest explorers. A place of mystery, intrigue and creeping danger. Professor Bernie Summerfield has finally been invited to join, but membership comes at a terrible price." Joining Benny throughout the Eternity Club are Nicholas Grace, who, as I've just said, you might know from Bird's Head Revisited, as well as Robin of Sherwood as Security Pym, and acclaimed theatre actor Neil Cusack as the oldest member. The cast also includes Dan Starkey, who obviously works for Big Finish regularly, because he plays Strax in the Paternoster Gang, as well as he did loads of various Sontarans in Doctor Who. Simon Kane, who you may know from John Finnemore's Souvenir programme, and he was actually one of the characters in Torture Lock Decadence, which I reviewed, and Jay Jacobs, who you may know from Casualty and Holby City. James explains the story arc. Benny's finally made it. She's a member of an elite club of the galaxy's top explorers, living a life of luxury on their private asteroid. Only not everything is as it seems. The club is falling apart. The members seem to be stirring up an intergalactic war between the Draconians and the Sontarans. There's a terrifying and mysterious old woman in the library, and none at the club can quite remember how they got there. The Eternity Club comprises 4 full-cast audio drama releases, each containing 2 adventures. So we have the Armageddon Chair and Triumph of the Dravin by James Goss in September's release, Rhubarb and Please Retain Your Ticket for the Cloakroom by Tim Foley in October's release, The Terrible Shame of a Tree and Mr. Pym Has an Adventure by James Goss in November's release, and finally Sanctuary and Liturgy of Death by Tim Foley in December's release. Co-writer Tim says, "My first attempt to ever write a script was a Benny Summerfield for a GCSE school project. I'm delighted that all these years later I'm helped James set up a new era and new family. I love it when Benny leads a motley crew and the residents of the Eternity Club can't get any mottler." Tim explains how the art for the new series came about. "We were talking about what we could do next with Benny, and we do love Benny when she's part of a family. So we came up with the idea of the Eternity Club, which is effectively a retirement home in space. It's one of those old-fashioned clubs where explorers and ex-military leaders gather and talk about past battles and former conquests, and we thought it would be a lovely setting to put Benny in. We have a new format to half-hour episodes, which allows us to tell stories of all kinds of scales. My stories will include interstellar war, cupboard cleaning, ancient secrets and rhubarb. Hope there's a real coziness to these epic tales and vice versa. The The Eternity Club may have seen better days, but if anyone can get it back on track, it's Professor Bernie Summerfield. James adds, Tim and I thought it would be lovely to give Benny a bit of recognition so she finally gets to join a club of the galaxy's great explorers. The Eternity Club is has been asteroid. Benny has always wanted to join the club, but she thinks that it's where the galaxy's greatest explorers are. But when she finally gets smitten, she discovers, like many wishes and dreams in life, it's not quite what she first thought. We're showcasing several monsters from the worlds of Doctor Who in the usual way in this. There's a Sontaran academic, a Draconian archaeologist, and a member of Jarvan royalty in exile. But there's also something very peculiar about the Eternity Club itself. No one can remember why it was founded or even how they got there. Is it all they do with some of the other members? Is it all to do, with some of the other members? Tim says, and it's perfect as it's the opposite of the Bratstall collection. It's a space in which Benny is not respected, she's not at the forefront, she's doing odd jobs, she's looked down upon by the other members. These first few adventures are her getting to know everyone and trying to up her status in the club somewhat, was also paying off her dues. She's a bit of a lax on that front, hasn't she? James agrees, yes, but is it all as it seems? Does Benny really actually owe any debts at all to the club? How would Tim describe Benny in Spot Set? He tells Vortex, is Benny ingrating herself? I'm going with that. Herself in an oddball family again, which I think definitely harks back to the first Benny Summerfield releases I listened to as a wee barn. We learnt about her family at the Bratstall collection, and here she takes on a different role. I love how we've seen Benny in many different guises. Now she's a carer, she's a problem solver, she's an engineer, she's someone who's not afraid to get her hands dirty, sorting out the Sontaran loos. She's also chaperoning the older members while they're on little field trips. So yes, it's fun to put her in new situations, while she also remembers she's a famous archaeologist. It allows us to see a different side of Benny, I think. James agrees, yes, she's a slight outsider in this box set and she's having to win new ground. I think she was hoping to walk in and get a warm round of applause and be shaken by the hand, instead of which she discovers that really don't think that much of her because they're fools. As with the earliest Big Finish Benny releases, Lisa has a regular cast of actors alongside her in these new adventures. Tim says Security Pim is the manager of this club. James and I are both lovers of Golden Age classic detective fiction, and there's many a story set in a club, and there's many a manager who's a sort of sassy, polite to the point of rudeness, officious, and just generally slightly grumpy person. We waited to catch all of that with Security Pim, of course. We wanted to put him on a journey too, as with all the members. And so gradually we start to realise that actually he's not like them. He's not a big explorer or adventurer. James agrees. I think it's fair to say that Security Pim has not seen the universe, and he's surrounded by people telling boring old stories about when they were on this planet and when they found that. Security Pim has really gone no further than his desk. He's an officious joy and a wonder to behold. Tim continues, James writes Sontarans exceptionally well, and Stahl was another opportunity for us to have fun with both Sontarans and actor Dan Starkey. We have, of course, an aging general who speaks of his many battles, but once again, you know that there is more to the members in the Eternity Club than meets the eye. And he's maybe a bit more of a softie than you might expect from Sontaran. James agrees, yes, there's a little detail that I particularly like about Stahl, which is that he counts the dead on battlefields. At first you think, oh, that's a very Sontaran thing, and then you realise that he wants to get the numbers right because it's important, and so then actually it's something to do with their souls. Dan is very funny. We don't often encounter a Sontaran with actual friends. He has two friends. He has a best friend, like a bromance with a Draconian, and also maybe a lover or conspirator in Grisella, the Jarvan princess. Tim says, I keep mentioning the word family. I don't need to keep repeating myself, but when Benny leads an ensemble, you want all the other members of the ensemble to have relationships, not just with Benny, but with each other, and to have different relationships that grow over time. So yeah, we have Altzar, Star's bromance. I hardly ever use that word, but it's perfect. He likes to spar with Altzar and also hang out with him. Altzar is our Draconian. I have a strong association with Benny and the Draconians. There was a long series arc, wasn't there, with the Draconians and the Mims, so I really did connect this race with the Bernie Summerfield stories. We thought we would put in a sort of rival professor for Benny, so we talked about his relationship with Stahl. Grisella is a former warrior queen of the Jarvan and perfectly suited. Where am I up to? To a Sontaran mate. You want to know different sides of these characters. and I think exploring Star's very tentative approach with Gazella is fun, and it might be nice to hear more of in the future. I think they're wonderfully fleshed out in some of the extended universe stories. They're two spiky races and Tyrants of the Draconians, and it was thrilling to put them in a room together and have them play games. The series begins with the Armageddon chair, where Bernice is still settling in at the Eternity Club. Security Pimp sends her on a quest enlisting help from Draconians, Sontarans, Jarvins, and the club's enigmatic oldest member. And the second adventure in the set is Triumph of the Draven, with the archaeological expedition led by a Draven queen. What secrets has she uncovered is the forgotten deserts of Perun, and why are people dying? Yes, so next up, so also today, which would have been the 11th of September 2024, forgotten, the trailer for the 8th Doctor Adventures, The Stuff of Legend, the pre-recorded studio version, was released. Here's the trailer.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Stuff of Legend.
It began around midsummer. There was talk of corpse lights seen in the old Merry Maid mine.
Charlie, hold on!
Holding on!
There's fishing boats a-bobbing in the bay, which went out fully crewed in the morning and returned empty by nightfall.
We found an honest-to-goodness secret tunnel.
Remember what Penrose said? The old squire ran the local smuggling operation.
And sounds of digging from the mine. Now what's doing that digging, miss?
Knocking in the dark.
That's machine noise. We'd expect a supernatural entity to use.
There's something down there, miss. And now we know no peace.
It must be the missing men from the village.
Captain was right. They are zombies.
Not zombies, Emily.
Oh, it's evil, certainly. But this village is cursed, and there's nothing we can do, because it sure ain't living men.
Smash it into the rock wall!
Keep down, Doctor!
I'm losing my grip!
The chasm, quickly! I'm the Doctor. You are the Bucker, I presume. Missed!
Want this thing go any faster?
I've a feeling it's about to. Heads down!
What do you mean?
Help us all before it's too late.
Identify yourself!
Identify yourself!
What?
How do we stop this thing?
We don't want to yet!
Maybe not, but I'm thinking ahead.
Doctor! How good of you to drop in.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for the 8th Doctor Adventures, The Stuff of Legend. So we are now jumping a couple of days to the 14th of September 2024, which was when the 8th Doctor Adventures, The Stuff of Legend was released, as well, where 2 out of the 4 live performances of The Stuff of Legend took place, and there is some at some point going to release the live version, so I'll be reviewing that at some point as well. But let's have a look at the press release for the 8th Doctor Adventures, The Stuff of Legend. The title of the press release is A Legendary Story for the 8th Doctor. The Master and the Daleks cause trouble for the Doctor and Charlie in The Stuff of Legend, a brand new full cast audio drama available now from Big Finish Productions. Paul McGann and India Fisher star as the 8th Doctor and Charlie Pollard in The Stuff of Legend, an exciting new audio adventure released today as part of the celebrations marking 25 years of Big Finish Doctor Who audio dramas. In a story written by Robert Valentine, the time-travelling duo arrive in a quiet Cornish town where 2 of their greatest enemies await: the Master, played by Alex McQueen, reprising the role for the first time since 2021's Masterful, and the Daleks, played by Nicholas Briggs. This release coincides with the first ever live on-stage performance of a Big Finish Doctor Who audio play, as listeners will be treated to a full cast reading of The Stuff of Legend, as I've just talked about. The studio version of the Doctor Who The Stuff of Legend, recorded in April 2024, is now available. Here's the synopsis. Something is afoot in the lonely Cornish town of Merry Maid Bay. Rumours of dead men walking in the tin mines have sent a chill through the community, and it's up to the Doctor and Charlie to get to the bottom of the mystery. Can the legends of the Booker that haunt the mines be true, and just what awesome power do the Doctor's greatest enemies Daleks threaten to unleash upon the universe. Stuff of Legend also features Annette Badland, who you may know for Ted Lasso and Doctor Who Aliens of London, as old Emily Blandfather in the Booker, Nishinaka as Emily Blandfather, Jason Forbes as Captain Montgomery Cesare, Barnaby Edwards as Jago Penrose and Foley, and George Naylor as the Robomen. Writer and producer Robert Valentine said, Big Finish creative director Nicholas Briggs came to me in 2023 and asked me to come up with a story to celebrate 25 years of Big Finish Doctor 2, with an adventure for the 8th Doctor and Charlie having both the Doctor and having both the Daleks and the Master involved was essentially inevitable as a way of making this a huge celebratory story. I wanted to make this a really pure traditional Doctor Who adventure, so I wrote the Dalek scheme to feel something out of one of the 1960s Peter Cushing's films. I also wanted to honour the Philip Hinchcliffe era of the TV show series by honouring Hammer horror, in this case Plague of the Zombies, which I think is one of their best and which allowed me to indulge my love for folklore and legend. Actor Alex McQueen added, I've played the Master for over a decade now, but it's getting on for 4 or 5 years since I last recorded as him, so coming back to it was a real delight. Another thrill, I'd forgotten just how fun he is to play. So that, I think, let me just check. Yes, that is where we are ending this episode. So let me know what you thought about all the news I talked about in this episode. Put your thoughts on those in the comments below, as well with anything else you want me to cover on the channel. Remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe, and that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. Goodbye.